are going to be making these cute little flower earrings that are great for Valentine's, which is coming up, or if you just want something a little flirty and cute to wear. So we're going to make those. They only require a few ingredients, so let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got some green seed beads, which are obviously for the leaves. We've got some red seed beads, and we've got some pink seed beads. You could use whatever combination of colors you want to use. And you'll need some kind of ear wire if you're going to make earrings. You could use 2 different colors of green if you wanted to give the leaves a little bit of dimensionality. But anyway, the colors are up to you. It would be really pretty to use like gold and cream, for example, and have some gold leaves. That would be really nice. So just do whatever you want to do. And you don't have to make them into earrings. You can make it into just a little component that goes onto a necklace. You can leave off the leaves if you want. Very easy to customize. Okay, so let's get started. Today I'm using some KO because you don't need very much, and because it's quite thin and slippery, so I'm just going to use this. I'm going to use about 2 feet, maybe a little less, so that's about 50 centimeters if you're in Europe. And I am using a size 10 beading needle. Okay, so once you've got your needle threaded, we're going to start by picking up 5 of our base color. So I'm using red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go ahead and push that down, leave yourself a tail as always. Okay. And then we're going to sew through those 5 again to form a loop. And then we're going to sew through the first bead again in order to actually make these 2 ends meet up. Okay, so we now have our ring of 5 beads. Do not tie a knot because this next step you might need to loosen your tension a little bit, okay? So no knot. All right, so once you've got your 5 beads, you're going to pick up a bead, and we're just going to do a simple peyote stitch here and add and go into the next bead. So we're just coming out of one bead and going into the next bead. Okay, just like this, all the way around until you have all 5 spaces filled. And when you get to the 5th space, you may find it's a little tight, so you may need to relax your grip a little bit, okay, on your tail in order to let it sit between your 2 beads. So see, this is my 5th one here. Okay, see, now the 4th one doesn't want to sit that nice. Just, you can kind of massage it until it looks like this, okay? So next step is we're going to continue working in the same direction we were working in. So go ahead and step up into the next bead. So we're now on layer 2. We're going to pick up 2 of our base color, and we're going to jump over into the next bead here. You're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so that's 4. And our last one, 5. So you're going into that bead there, not into the bead that you've just added those two. Okay, so make sure you're going into the correct bead there. All right, so you now have a little circle that looks like this. Sorry, I keep dropping it. Okay, so now you're going to step up into the first bead on the next row, which is this one right here. Okay, we're going to pick up 5 of our flower color. Okay, so 5. You're going to go from this bead here where I'm coming out, skip, skip. You're going to go in, see this pair right here? You're just going to go up through the very first bead there, like this. Okay, so I went from the first bead here in this pair to the first bead in this pair. And you're going to do that 5 times to go all the way around. So again, pick up your 5, skip over to the next first one of this pair. Okay, and just go all the way around. So 5 again, skip into that first. Okay, and again. And one more time. My beads keep falling off my needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Last time, so you're still going into, there's your pair there. See my pair here? I'm still going into that first bead of that pair. Okay, so I now have what looks like a little star. Okay, so now you're going to step up into your next bead of that pair. So the second bead, and you're coming out there, okay? You're going to pick up 5 more beads. So 5. And you're going to go into the second bead of this pair. So the first bead of this pair has your loop coming out. You're going into the second, but you're going to go underneath in order to go into it. So I'm going underneath my bead, okay, and underneath this like rope here. Okay, so I'm going under it just into that second bead of the pair. Okay, again, pick up 5. And we're already on top now, so we're going to again go under the next, into that second bead of this pair. So if you're confused about what your pairs are, don't look at the pink beads, just look at the red beads. You'll see that there's 2 here. You're going into the second one and you're approaching it from underneath this loop, okay? See? And what that's going to do is it's going to create this under-over pattern here. Okay, so again, pick up 5. And again, you're going under the next loop and into that bead of that pair there, okay? The second bead. So these new loops will just be, I think I picked up 6 there, I did. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, so then you're going to again pick up 5, and you're obviously going to do this 5 times because that is what our flower looks like. So on this last one here, it can look a little confusing, but just do the same thing. Ignore this bit, okay? and you're just going to pop into this. This is my pair, so I'm just going to pop right into that second bead. If I can find it, there we are. Still going into the second bead from underneath this. Okay. Okay, so you should now have something that looks like this. So now we're going to move forward one bead. So if you look carefully, we have our 5 original, and then we have the 5 single beads, and that's the bead we're going to move forward into, is that next bead. Okay, I'm stepping into that, so it's the ones that are between the 5 original beads. Okay, I'm stepping into that one. Now this time I'm going to pick up 3 of my pink seed beads. Okay, and I'm going to jump into the next bead over. That is not on the center ring, but the next one that's by itself. Okay. Sorry. It's very small. It's kind of hard to hold on to this. Okay, then we're going to again pick up 3, and we're going to jump over into the next bead that's by itself. So if you get confused, you can look at your center ring and it's like the next bead above that. Okay, if you start to get confused because you have so many beads going on. And this is why you want to do your base color a different color than the petals, I guess is what we'll call these. Okay, and just keep going. You're going to do it 5 times in total. Jumping from one bead to the next in that second ring, okay? And you're adding 3 each time. Okay, so I'm on my last one. Okay, I'm adding it in there. Okay, so that is our second ring. Now, here you have some decisions to make. If you wanted to, if you don't want to do the inside the way I did here, which I'm going to do now, you could just pop like a pearl or something like that in if you wanted to, or a crystal, okay? If you want to do that, just make your way. So what we're going to do is we're going to move forward into one of the center beads now. So the next bead down below where I am, and it's going to be really hard for me to show you this, but okay. I'm coming out of that little red bead right there, and I'm moving down into the bead that it's next on the center ring, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you on the back actually. So I was coming out of this bead right here, and I moved down into the center bead. Sorry, it would help if it focused, wouldn't it? I was coming out of this bead and I moved down into this bead, okay? All right, so if you want to add a pearl or something, just pick up your pearl, sew into the bead opposite, then go back through your pearl and sew into the next center ring bead right here. But that's not what I want to do. I'm going to add some red beads here. So I'm going to pick up 3 red beads, and I'm just going to skip this next bead, and I'm going to go into the next center bead. So on the center ring, I'm just skipping one, and then I'm going into the next one, okay? And this is not science because there's only really room for 2 loops, and obviously we have 5 beads there, so you can't really center it. So again, I'm picking up 3 center beads, and it all just starts to look a little jumbly here anyway. And then I'm just gonna skip a bead and go into the next bead. So this bead there'll be a bead that won't have anything on it, but that's fine. Nobody's gonna look that closely. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and get this in here. There we are. Okay, so that's my flower completed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to poke through the middle to get to the back so I can see what I'm doing, okay? Because we're now going to add our leaves. So once you get to the back, work out which bead you're coming out of. So I'm coming out here, and we just have to work our way up to an outside red bead. So I'm going to go through the second row bead and then through this outside red bead right here. Oops, sorry. I'm telling you guys, this is so dinky. It's very hard to hold on to. Okay, so, all right. So here I am. I am now going to pick up 9 of my green beads, or whatever color you want your leaf to be. So 3, 6, 9. Okay. 9 beads. I'm going to skip the top 3 beads. So skip 3. Okay. And I'm going to go into the 4th bead. And that's going to create a little picot, and you can kind of pull that little picot until it tightens up a little bit. Okay, so there we are. We now have a little picot. Then we're going to peyote 2 stitches. So we're going to pick up 1 bead, skip the next bead, and go into the next bead. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that very well because this keeps turning. Okay, so peyote, so we skipped this bead and we sewed into that bead. We're going to pick up 1 more of our green beads, and we're going to sew down the next 2 beads. So sew down 2 here. Okay. And at this point, I'm actually going to tighten it up by pulling on my picot and pulling any slack out. Make sure that your peyote beads are sitting nicely. And pull any slack out, okay? Excuse me with my sniffly nose. Okay. So now look at the red bead that I'm coming out of is this one here. You can tell because my beads go that way. I'm going to enter that red bead from the side that I'm not coming out of. Okay, can you see that? The side that I am not coming out of, I'm going into the same red bead again. And then here, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to pick a side, whichever seems to be most natural. Okay, go up 1 bead, 1 green bead, so up that first green bead, okay. Sorry, I'm about to lose my thread. Okay, then pick up 1 green bead and sew into the pair of peyote, okay? So pick up 1, and it's just gonna sit right down there and underneath. Okay, then we're going to fill these 2 holes with peyote. So we're going to pick up another green bead and one more. Okay, and then just pass through your top bead, and the bead at the top of the row, just pass through it. And pass down through the next bead. Okay. So then you're going to pick up one more bead and go down into the next bead of the pairs there. So my thread, I know it's hard to see, is coming out from this bead. You're going into the next sticking out pair. And one more bead. And sew into this next sticking out bead. Okay, so that is our first leaf done. So now you have to pass down the next 2 green beads. Again, we're going to enter into our red bead from the same side we entered last time. Okay, so go ahead and go through that red bead. And then, depending where you want your leaf, so on this one I had them right next to each other coming out of the the pair of red beads here. So if you wanted your leaves close together, you can do that. If you want your leaves further apart, you can move further over. I'm going to do what I did last time, so I'm just going to move forward into the next red bead. Okay, so I moved into this red bead. And again, I'm going to pick up my 9 green beads. Okay, so we're doing exactly the same thing again for this leaf. So just get your 9 on, skip 3 at the top, so skip those 3 and go into the 4th bead. I keep nearly pulling my thread out because the trouble with this KO is it's much more slippery than Fireline is, and I forget that. And recently I've been using dragon thread and I'm really loving it a lot. I need to get more. Okay, so yeah, pick up 1, go into, so skip 1 and go into the next bead down. Regular peyote stitch here. Oops, do not get looped around your other leaf. Pick up 1 more and go down 2. Sorry, I need to adjust my thread again. Okay. Alrighty, so now I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, and I'm going to go through that red bead from the side. So my thread is currently coming out this side and going up into this green leaf. So I'm going into the opposite side of it, just to anchor this leaf down. And then I can go up one bead. All right, and now I'm going to pick up one, and it doesn't matter which side you go on, since my thread is naturally on the right side this time. I'm going to go up the right side. So you picked up your one, go ahead and go into that sticking out leaf, sticking out bead, that first sticking out bead, and then just fill the gaps. So there's 2 gaps on this side and 2 gaps on the other side. So 1 and 2. Then go through your top bead. Move down into the next bead, and then we're going to fill these 2 gaps, and then we're done and we can tie it off. So go down and down again, all the way to the base. Okay, so that's my leaves. So now what I like to do is I continue moving in a clockwise direction until I meet up with this thread here. So this is where we're now going to tie our knots. Remember, we didn't tie any knots beforehand. So I'm gonna, just for a good measure, I'm gonna go into that red bead again that I was anchoring to, and then I'm stepping down into the row below it. If you can see that. Okay. And I'm just following the beads and going to make my way down onto this middle center row here. If I can get in there. Here we are. So I made my way down to the center circle, and I just need to move over one more bead on that central circle in order to meet my tail thread. Okay, so now I can just tie my 2 threads together. And because this thread is a little bit more slippery than some, I am doing a little bit more knotting than I normally would. Okay, and now I can weave in my ends. So just sew away from the knot in whichever direction feels the most natural, following your bead path. If you can get into the beads, there we go. And you don't have to go very far, just far enough away that you can safely cut your thread off. So I will do that, and then I will come back and just finish off. Okay, so I successfully wove my ends in and cut it off on the back. So that's my little flower on the front. Sorry, somebody's car alarm is going off outside. So to hang it, I just hooked around one of the loops, and I want my earrings to kind of not be straight up and down like this. So I'm gonna hang it so they're kind of a little at an angle like this. So to do that, I just opened my earring wire, and I decided which loop I was going to do. I think I'm going to do this one. just go from the front to the back. And then close your wire up. And that's it. I've finished my little rose earrings. So they're really cute, nice for, you know, a little romantic dinner or something for Valentine's Day. So, and they're pretty quick and easy, as you can see. So I hope you've enjoyed this project, and I have another one in the pipeline, plus I have a big bead along planned with you guys. So we have that to look forward to as well. As always, if you like this video, please consider subscribing, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.